starting again. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Paranormal Hot Seat, where tonight we will fight each other to the death over whether children should be allowed to attend ghost tours. And what's yours again?
I was just wondering where the titles went, but that's just me. It's okay. We'll roll with it. We're going to have some deep discussion on the ethics of ghost hunting.
And I'm going to be asking you guys, when is too soon to go investigating somebody who's passed over or a recent tragedy?
What's the time now?
Then there's noises going off everywhere in here.
I
Because
don't know
once
what that
again,
is.
I forgot to mute it. I want to welcome a new member to the channel. Hello, Raven Owl. Thank you for becoming a member of our channel. I did do a live over there earlier for the Grand Poo Bars. So if you were a Grand Poo Bar, go check that out. There was a little bit of information. So, yeah.
If you are here watching us tonight, please make sure you jump on, join the conversation. But the most important thing you can do is share the fact that we are live.
If I could turn.
That was my joke last week. Good times.
Anyway, we're going to try something new tonight. We have got a poll. I'm going to press it.
You've always got a poll.
Yes, I live with a poll. And in front of Renata, the poll, literally the poll, we have got a question there. Should children be allowed on paranormal investigations? You can click on yes or no, or depends, and you can explain why in the comments. It would be very interesting. And I want to know by the end of Renata's segment whether we change your mind or not.
And if you do have a paranormal team, we would love to hear from you about this. And maybe you will learn a few things that you really need to know before you let those kiddies on your tours.
Anyway,
Kick it off.
Show.
Let's kick it into next week.
And we've listened to you. We are keeping it just us being our normal selves, not trying to be professional, because you know what happens then.
Except for me, because I've got notes.
Oh, well,
That's
as you said, you've got things you've got to quote.
But that's consistent.
Yeah.
That's consistently your brand.
Thank you, Shane.
She'll read through it and then she'll read the same thing 3 times and we'll go, yes. It'll be nice.
Shane, they can't click on it. I don't know how to do it, in all honesty.
It's like the old days of the radio show when you get lost and read the same thing.
Well, guess what? That happened on Tuesday night. Except it wasn't printed. It wasn't spoken twice, read twice. It was printed twice.
Oh,
I tried to my best.
we forgot to
okay.
proofread. It's okay.
It's
Happens to
somebody's printed.
It's do your best or don't show up at all.
Yes.
That's the way it goes.
And we always show up.
Let's scoot aside and let Renata have
Go, Renata. Take the reins.
All right. So we are talking
Wrap
about
off.
kiddies coming on ghost tours. And if you are a tour guide or a person who runs ghost tours, you will have had this question numerous times. Can I bring dear
Johnny
Shania?
Deirdre.
Shakoya.
Shakoya?
Epony Ray.
I'm the tall. She's 5, but she's special. She knows all of this
So
stuff.
special.
She's like, she knows this. This is great. She's just like fantastic. Probably fantastic. And you go, how old is she? Oh, she's 5. She's maybe 6. Going on 6 half. But yes. All right. So that is the question. Now, I did a little bit of a drop of information, and I wanted to share with you from the perspective of a provider who has to run by the rules, not a we run ghost tours on a weekend, let's all get together and do that. But I have a business with an ABN and I pay tax, and I have to make sure that all of the people that come on my tours as volunteers or team members have to have their working with children. I have to pay insurance, and we have to have first aiders on our tours. So everything has to be run according to the requirements of site managers and of institutions like the National Trust, or other places that we go to. And so we sort of have a rigorous thing that we need to go through before we can actually run our tours. And there are some places that will not allow you to have children under the age of 16 years. And it's the rules, and people can get as heated as they like. But if I break those rules, the likelihood is that the site managers will say, I'm sorry, but you can't run these tools because we're quite specific. Because if there's something that occurs, it is on our head. So a couple of things to think about when bringing children onto an investigation and why it may not be a good idea. And of course, you know your children. That is fine. We all know our children. We all think that the sun shines out of their backside and they're wonderful and they're special kids and all that sort of stuff. But there are a couple of things that we need to remember from a psychological perspective and from a growth perspective that is just the way it is. And even though we might think it is a good idea, it may not necessarily be so. So a couple of things. Children don't regulate fear the same way as adults do. What looks like fun and scary can flip very quickly into genuine panic. And once that happens, it affects the whole group dynamic. So we have to remember that it is not only mum, dad, and the kiddies. You are normally in a group of other people, other strangers, and adults as well. Adults, there's kind of this adult fear thing that, you're with other adults you don't know. So children also, their imaginations fill the gaps with fiction. They don't separate what they've seen in movies from what's actually happening in front of them. So every sound becomes something extreme, and investigations require patience and stillness. Kids get bored, they get restless and noisy, which interferes with equipment, recordings, and overall process. There are also real environmental risks. So we are often in dark places with uneven floors, exposed materials, sometimes not proper lighting or facilities. There are also emotional after effects that can be unpredictable. What they see or think they saw can stay with them a long time, longer than expected, especially at night when they're just about to go to sleep after investigations. It puts pressure on the adults. So instead of focusing on the investigation, parents are half invested and half watching their child the whole time, if they're good parents.
That's a separate conversation.
Yes, we have been to investigations where it just feels like you are babysitting, unfortunately. Now, should children come to a ghost hunt or a paranormal investigation or a ghost walk? That will depend again on you and what you are as a parent. And you need to ask some questions about what is being supplied in any of those functions, because they are all very, very different. A ghost walk can be something that is more fun. It's often outdoors, so there's more space for the child to move around. There's kind of a more interesting way of being able to control that child. And we have had investigations or ghost walks where kids have said, I can't do any more, I'm too tired, or this is boring, and parents leave with the kids, and that's absolutely fine. That is fine. But it allows for that. In a paranormal investigation setting, that's a little bit harder to do. And so that's something that you've got to really sort of think about as a parent who's taking their child to one of these things. And that's, ghost hunts again are kind of middle ground where they're not as strictly guided as paranormal investigations. Our investigations are really guided to the nth degree. So we split teams up, we will split people up into smaller groups. We have time structures. We have all of this sort of stuff where everyone takes part in experiments. Having children in that environment is very complicated, because especially if you have things like spirit box sessions where you might come out with stuff coming out on a spirit box that is potentially emotionally charged, trauma, or there's a lot of swearing that occurs. How do you regulate that, when the adults in the group are wanting that and you've got children in the group? Oh, don't worry, they hear swearing all the time. It's different. It is different in a group of adults that don't know each other and children being there. It's just not right. Now let's just go quickly to age and intellectual understanding here, because this is something that you sort of have to think about. And yes, this is generalized, and we know that your beautiful children are as smart as all hell and are, 12 going on to 25, but just bear with me. So generally under 12-year-old, they are too young to separate imagination from reality in a dark, suggestive environment. Between 12 and 15, yes, they can understand more, but still heavily influenced by fear, peer reaction, and media expectations.
What do you mean by what they see on TV?
Right.
So they're expecting it to be like that.
That's right. And remember, what they see on TV
It's paranormal entertainment. It's edited.
and it's not the same sort of safe environment as being out in the field.
There's also, because I'll play devil's advocate for the younger generations, they're seeing it a lot more one-on-one now with the Sam and Colby of it all. They're seeing younger people do it and go, oh, that's interesting. They're cool. I want to do that.
Yeah.
So whereas, 15 years ago, it was all
Older people.
men in heavily tattooed men in black and Yvette Fielding in leather running around screaming in the dark, which appealed to a certain demographic, and that's probably the reason why Sam and Colby are so popular. They speak to their audience, they appeal to that audience.
Absolutely. But it is still a TV show. They do not take people on a tour. They do not take living physical people onto these sites. They're presenting what they are doing in a program to people who are in a safe environment, sitting on their beds, sitting on their couches, listening at home, eating popcorn, and are into the entertainment vibe of it. They are not there when shit goes down. Now, 16 plus, starting to grasp the difference between experience, suggestion, and evidence, but still varies depending on maturity. So we've got 16 years old plus. And it's not just age, it's temperament. So some adults struggle more than teenagers. So it's about emotional steadiness, not just a number. We have had experiences with 16-year-olds being on tour. They have handled it very, very well. They've actually been better than their parents. We have had 13, 14-year-olds who have been smuggled on, especially into Maitland Jail, and we've complained about it. There's not much that you can do. And they have had meltdowns in the middle of places where they have had to be taken out because they've been crying or they've latched onto their parent and not been able to move because they are so scared. And this then becomes difficulty for the whole group. The whole group
It's
feels
affected by it.
really affected by what has just gone on. And it's really, what's the word? When,
Traumatic?
no, but yeah, it's awful for the young kid that's going through it. I think they feel
I've got
really
some.
kind of shy and embarrassed that they're feeling this way. And the parents kind of go, oh, we don't really care, Oh, the number of times parents have come on and said, we want you to scare the shit out of them. And it's like, no, that's not our job. We're not here to go to a haunted house.
Go to a haunted attraction.
Go to a haunted house attraction, and that's where they'll scare the shit out of your kids.
They do it all the time.
because that's what you're paying to get. But you can't do it. We can't do it here.
It's also not a theme park.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's not catering to that. It is.
You can't run around.
It's
there.
to put it. Oh, another.
Oh,
Beckaloo. It's like the Jurassic. It's like the Jurassic Park analogy. There are some things that you can't control, and this field is one of them. We can't dictate how things come through, what comes through, what kind of interactions are had, whether you believe it is paranormal or not. I speak for our tours when I know that we don't fake things. So if something scary happens, it's something genuinely scary. We're not kicking buckets or like jumping out from corridors or anything like that. I might do a cheap thrill and scare someone like I did Renata last week.
Well, I
but
don't try to. Sometimes you just stand behind a doorway, like not standing behind to scare someone. You just lean against
just
the
there
wall.
and they turn
waiting
around and
for
they go,
them,
oh.
and they scare the shit out of themselves.
That's the thing. They're on edge, or they're already on edge. So for somebody that does not have the emotional intelligence to understand that they put themselves in that situation, and then the results of everything, it's a very important question, which is why we're having conversation.
And we don't know what parents have taught them really about this whole thing. It may just be what they've seen on TV.
And they just really want to do it.
And so,
They're
if
begging
they've
mummy.
watched a couple of shows, they think they can handle that excitement is going to be fun. I totally understand that. But there is a lot of discussion that needs to be had before you can actually take a young child into this sort of environment. And I know there are some groups that run teen ghost tours and investigations. They are they're working towards that demographic.
To be fair, I don't know if you remember, cast your minds back a couple of years ago when we had that 14-year-old who wanted to have her birthday party, and you said, I don't want to do it. And I said, I would take care of it. It was her 3 friends and their parents, and that they did a small group. It was like a small group thing. You do have to think about what specifically you want to achieve in that and where the level of intensity comes from. At the end of the night, those kids loved it from the get-go. They were fans, they knew their stuff. They knew what a REM pod was. They knew what a K2 was. So it was very easy to talk to them and make them feel like they had power over the situation, because we didn't put them on spirit boxes or anything like that, because you never know what's going to come through on a spirit box. But they were happy with a K2 and a cat ball wandering around a location, trying to get lights to go off, a tripwire going off and stuff like that.
Is it an opportunity to start to educate
education?
them?
Appropriate, age-appropriate education.
What is a paranormal investigation? And it's not like what you see on TV. Is this an opportunity?
I'm good. Thank you, Shane.
Again, catering for that group as a group that has a mixture of parents and children is very, very different than
to a real investigation.
People coming on with a child into a group where everyone else is an adult. But let's just for a minute talk about.
We had one at Prince Henry Hospital that had a 5-year-old wanting to put him on the Ouija board.
Jesus.
That was fun.
Oh my God.
I'm
just glad I
PTSD from that one.
Wasn't there? Duty of care in Australia. This is what it is. So you have a legal obligation to provide a safe environment as a provider. That includes physical safety, emotional well-being, and foreseeable risks in the environment. Now, foreseeable risk here is the key phrase, which is darkness, uneven flooring, psychological distress, panic reactions, group movement in confined spaces. All of that is considered foreseeable. Children increase your level of responsibility, and the law recognises that minors cannot assess risk properly, so the expectation on you as an operator is higher. If something goes wrong, it's the ghost tour. Oh, it's a ghost tour, sorry, it's not a defence. You're treated like any other event operator and provider, and I don't care. You might tell your children that it's a ghost tour and it's going to be fine, everything will be fine, but something goes wrong, I reckon you'd be back blaming the providers, going, well, they didn't tell us we're going to go into that darkened room all by themselves and be locked up, whatever. So you've got to be very, very careful. Now, children are considered a vulnerable group, which means that you, as a provider, are expected to take extra precautions beyond what you would for adults. There is a risk of injury that increases, so running in the dark, tripping, separating from the group, reacting unpredictably. Then there is a psychological harm that is also needing to be considered here. So if a child becomes distressed or traumatised, that can fall under your
Duty of care.
our responsibility for duty of care. And the presence of a guardian does not remove our duty of care as the event organizer. Just want you all to understand that. So a parent can be there. It does not remove your duty as a event organizer to make sure that nothing goes wrong for that little kid.
Because sometimes the parents can't make the correct decision because they've got a bias. So it's up to the tour organizer to draw the line and say, no, this is not suitable.
And that, I think that comes down to your knowledge of your job too. A lot of people, a lot of sites will just gladly take money without consideration for what's going on.
Now, a couple of other compliance things that have to be looked at, and this is why it is so difficult for people to not understand when we say, no, we can't have your 7-year-old. I'm sorry. And I get asked whether, someone's child can come on a ghost tour virtually every week. I can guarantee that comes in an email. Can my kid come on the ghost tour? And I go, no, I'm sorry. They just can't. As I mentioned, everyone in our group has to have working with children cleared checks done. So we know that there aren't any sort of predators on. Oh, terrible to think about. And
Happens.
we also have insurances that we need to pay. And prior to creating any of these tours, we have to put out these risk assessments that we have created. And if there is a possibility of a child to come on a tour, the risk assessments double or triple in size because of everything that you have to add in to make sure that you're looking after that child. And that's another reason why some places would just not allow it to happen, because it is too much of a risk for them to take. There are legal and financial consequences too. So there could be personal injury claims, psychological harm claims, particularly if a child experiences distress or ongoing fear, insurance complications, fines or regulatory issues, reputational damage. Reputational damage. And we know that people are litigious nowadays. They just are. And so, the worst thing is, I have to add this before I really finish, that we have age limits on all of our tours. So when we put up a tour, we will say over 16, over 18, whatever it might be. People will still turn up with children.
Well, obviously, 10.
Younger than that. Mm-hmm. You are breaking the rules. And I have a right to say, I'm sorry, but you cannot come on the tour.
And we got to the stage with Maitland Jail, we actually said that we need to have the right to ask for proof of age.
Yeah. And,
it's pretty bad.
That can really, really lead to a lot of complications. You as a parent are putting the business at risk and the site at risk for lying and saying, oh, no, my kid's 16 or 17, they're like 10 or 12. And you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. It's up to the poor tour leader on that day to go, well, okay, this is your issue if anything happens. But as you see, even though a parent is there, you still have legal responsibility. And this is the problem. The legal responsibility that you have to cater for everyone that is on that tour.
I've got a few little notes I'm going to add in. First off, when the kids are watching paranormal TV shows and they absolutely love it, I understand that they want to do that. I totally get it. But when they're watching paranormal TV, if they get scared, they can turn it off, or they can mute it, or they can put the sheet of protection over their head, or they can just stop it, have a break and go to the toilet. When you're in the throes of it, because we can't guarantee what's going to happen, nothing may happen, or you might get like the Maitland Jail tour where people were scratched, they were pushed and shoved. It gets pretty scary. So that is the thing that we can't control, and they can't either. Also, when you're going on these tours, you're paying big dollars. You want to have an adult experience. There are adult themes that come up in there all the time, like unaliving yourself or death, grief. And sometimes we end up having to talk to people who have just lost a loved one, and this hits a nerve with them. And we are doing grief counselling in the middle of our tour as well.
Very different kinds of we won't go into it, but different kinds of trauma that have manifested at the jail and stuff like that people at the end of the day, you don't know what people are coming to the tour with, so it's very interesting. Like, it's hard.
Also leads me to the PTSD side of it, that if people do have PTSD in a particular area, like sexual assault, because sometimes on the spirit box the RAPE word would be called out, and we had one young girl who just went to pieces, and it was just horrific. It's horrific for everybody involved. But also, Renata mentioned the working with children check. We have it all, but we can't do it to the people who are coming on the tour. We've got no way of checking whether any of those people are inappropriate or not to be there with children who are underage. So you are putting your child at risk. So that's just my little rant I wanted to throw in. Got anything else, Steve?
I'm going to play devil's advocate and just flip the script a little bit. As I said, we have done children's things, you know. When Renata was like, "Oh, I don't want to do it," but like, these people did not let you. They did not stop, and we did it. And those kids were given an experience that was appropriate for them. The parents were happy. The kids were happy. We reassured them at the end of the night that everything, you know, was hunky-dory, and if there was anything, they could reach out. That's best case scenario. Yep. We have had a young man that's been frequenting the tours recently, but he is someone that, you know, we've spoken to before the tours began, before they were even allowed to be on the tour. And that's, I think, what what someone like Renata, who is a tour operator, appreciates. Ask the question, because it might not be appropriate to do the group tour, but there is an option of doing something individual if you're willing to pay for that experience, you know. There are ways about it. You've just got to go about it the right way. And I think that's a big thing. We're trying to do the right thing by making sure that everyone that is coming on these tours is equipped in the best way possible to experience it well and authentically. But when you throw in an unknown, an extra unknown such as children, it makes things very difficult. But the old saying is the old saying: if you don't ask, you don't get. So if you do have children that are interested in the paranormal, there is a time and a place for them to start to learn about it. And if you do want them, if they are letting you really know they want to go on tours, then speak to the tour operators. Don't just book and assume it'll be fine.
Yeah, and look for operators who are also offering young teen paranormal tours. I know Pete at Appy, she's back at Parramatta Jail. She used to do tours, like small, short tours for the teens. Maybe she's doing those again. Not quite sure yet whether she started those again, but there are some people who do. And there are also other things, like maybe workshops and things that kids can do as well as an introduction. It all depends on costs. And we were wanting to do paranormal tours for young teens at Maitland Jail, but it was just prohibitive when it came to costs. It was just too not cost effective for the jail to have to sort of look at insurances and things.
Because you've got to build that up as well.
So we didn't go ahead with that. But yeah, that's my little piece for tonight.
Nice piece.
Yeah, nice. Well done.
Nice
and
piece.
Apologies for the ads that are popping up. That is a way of we are getting support for the show. We make it like a couple of cents off every ad that pops up. So my apologies to those people who are getting them. Those on
get YouTube Red. You won't get ads.
Yeah, premium YouTube won't be getting that one, but that costs money to do that. So we understand. So please forgive us, but it helps us keep the show running, so to speak.
At the end of the day, if you want the show to keep going, that's how it has to be. Sorry.
Yeah. Now I also have just a little thing while we have it.
Oh, a little thing.
I found something in the shop today I'd like Renata and Steve to try.
Oh, God.
So we're just going to open things up a little bit. So I'll just show you guys that. Does anyone know what that is? Don't say shit on a plate. It's not shit on a plate.
Are we to sell it?
You can smell it if you want to.
Are we to lick it? Or what?
You eat it.
How brave am I going to
It
be?
reminds me of the moon food
Oh,
you used to get as a kid.
Space food sticks.
Space food sticks.
Oh,
I think I know what it is. Are we eating it?
I love it.
I took a very big plate. Okay.
It's soft.
No.
It reminds me of something. I can't remember what it reminds me of.
Oh,
Condensed milk?
that doesn't
Oh,
taste
don't
like.
tell me that that's caramel.
No.
Condensed milk.
Roman and I found this.
I'm having a Tums.
No,
Condensed
we,
milk.
we experienced it for the first time in Finland. And it is Finnish brown cheese.
Oh, it tastes like. Yeah. No.
No.
It's delicious.
No.
No, sorry.
It's got like a caramelly kind of weird flavour.
Yeah, it does. It reminds me of something, and then
It's like a-
right at the
It's
end.
like a craft single if it was caramel flavoured. That plasticky, cheesy consistency. But no, sorry, I'm not usually a spitter. All that. Of food.
Bathrooms that way.
Of food. But yes, recovered
So,
that.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you for that
that
mouthful of
experience.
wonderfulness.
I'm just glad that I picked a little piece.
No, I think if you're going to put something in your mouth, you've got to go whole hog, right?
Well, I'd rather put that in my mouth than anything else.
No, that's weird, man.
All right. What are we going to next?
Do you want to go? Or do you...
I don't know.
Well, ours kind of piggyback off each other, don't
I
they?
can't find the notes. I don't know where they are.
Are they here in this book?
Possibly.
I thought you didn't have notes.
I know, but I've got my questions. I've got my questions.
All right, do you want me to go first then, and then we'll get back to you because it kind of piggybacks off each other.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, can you give me my thing when I'm ready?
You want your mouse?
Okay,
I've got your mouse.
okay. So this conversation came up across social media because I was randomly scrolling, as you do, and I came across a picture. Now I'm going to put it up on screen. So this picture is out the front of the Basilica Axe Murder House, where somebody's lovely children posed in front of the house, in front of the murder house. There is the exact number of bodies lying there of the victims that are shown below, and I thought it created an interesting conversation about the ethics of what paranormal investigation is, because when we look at it, everything we do, and this kind of piggybacks off Renata's topic as well, is involving some sort of trauma, right? Even the idea of a spirit, depending on what you believe, energy, etc., are trauma related. You know, the hauntings are based because somebody's husband never came back from the sea, or you know, I was murdered. There's always some kind of emotional attachment. There's always something kind of that. But with somewhere like the Basilica House, and a few others, are we exploiting not only these victims, but their family and the towns that we go to investigate? So I'm going to open that up to the floor, and we're going to have a bit of a conversation. Renata, why don't you start us off? What do you think? It's a big question because it's going to come across a lot of different things, a lot of different topics.
Look, the problem with all of this is social media, and social media can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. And the thing about social media is the more drama, the more incredulous things are, the more that, you know, it means that people go, oh my God, even for a second, the more clicks it's going to get, the more it will be seen. So the more like demure you are, the more you are respectful, the more you less dramatise things, the likelihood is that the less you are going to be seen. So in the first instance, most people who will see the picture that you just showed will go, oh my God, look at that, and have a number of different sensations about it, but they'll all have something to say about it. If those kids were standing at that sign pointing to the sign, would it be as interesting? No. Would it raise people's issues? No. But they decided to do it that way, which made it more dramatic. And drama sells.
Is it different? Do you think it's different because these people were victims of a violent crime?
I think any related death has to be respected in a way, but the violent crime and putting those pictures up of those young children is a bit horrendous, really.
And you don't know. This is the thing, and this is what what you've always said to us about locations, especially Maitland Jail. We don't know who's family member of somebody or et cetera, because that location was in operation so recently.
Yeah.
That, and we've talked about it on Uncensored Radio with your personal life, that generational trauma doesn't go away because somebody wants to take a funny photo that they think is funny and witty.
The problem is they think it's funny, and there's still people in that town that's probably family members, and you're right, this does cross over into my topic, and there's family still alive who have been traumatized forever for this happening to their family. And Charles wanted to know, it was the mother, the father, the two girls, and a friend who had come to stay, if I remember correctly. So that's 5.
No, what? Oh,
there was a friend that
was
it 2 friends or one friend?
I think it was 2 friends. Wasn't it 4 kids and 2 friends?
I can't remember.
Somebody fact check us. I think they did before. But okay, so not just focusing on that photo. I tried to find some photos today. They've been scrubbed from the internet. The dump site of the Black Dahlia, Elizabeth Short, in Los Angeles, was also a place where people would pull up, step out of their car, lay on the grass, and take a photo. That's a murder scene, but it's also now somebody's front lawn.
Same as Amityville Horror House.
And that's where I was going.
Yeah.
The Amityville house literally moved and changed numbers because of the amount of people coming about. Even the murder house from American Horror Story, they have a fence up around it now because so many people are trying to get in and get access to it.
We've been there. We've had photos at the front.
Probably before the fence went up.
we didn't post. Is this the New Orleans one? Or?
No, this is the first murder house. But these people have nothing to do with that crime. But you are still infringing on their personal space, their privacy, all that kind of stuff, as well as disrespecting the people that were murdered. And they're
playing devil's advocate. They bought the house knowing that. A lot of those.
Well, some people, I don't know. That's a hard one.
There's a line between it being. It's like saying, okay, well, they bought a house that has that sort of reputation, but you're living in a house as well. You wouldn't want anyone jumping in over your fence and standing in your front yard having photos taken. It is your private property. You have paid for that place to now be your private property. It is not a public space.
But it is a public location that has been made into a giant story that the world knows about and the people are drawn to. I mean, if we drove past the Amityville house, would we jump out and have a photo if we're not in their front yard, but standing on the street?
I think it's a matter of respect.
Yeah.
And a personal it's a personal boundary thing, because I want to kind of take it again out of the macro and into the micro a little bit more. What happens when somebody buys Monte Cristo and decides it's a private family house? Is that going to stop people from pulling up that driveway or trying to drive up that driveway? And just, again, this might be a bit of a sensitive topic.
Morals, really.
Yeah, this might be a little bit of it. So trigger warning for some people. Would somebody take that kind of photo at Port Arthur?
Yeah, exactly.
something that is so etched in Australia's psyche, just because there's history doesn't make it any less, like the history separating the event doesn't make it any less traumatic for people that are associated with it, because you would have cousins, all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's a good one Yindi's put up there. Imagine people pretending to gasp for breath at Auschwitz. I would be horrified to see that. Imagine them all standing there having a photo go, that would just be horrendous.
There probably have been lots of people.
I'm sure there have. But
just because you can doesn't mean you
should.
Yeah.
Line.
I had a friend once say to me, never take a photo of anything that you wouldn't be prepared for the world to see. That goes to everything in life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you sometimes may lose control of that photo and you'll end up in places you don't like. So if you want to do those photos, do it, keep it for yourself, but just be prepared that they can be leaked. But it's also very disrespectful. I find that absolutely disrespectful to the memory of the people. Not so much, look, the people that bought the house, I feel that they've bought a famous house. They're not making money out of it, so what's wrong with them? You have to respect their privacy. You can't break into their house or into their yard, but I think they should be prepared to have people standing out the front and having photos there.
Can I flip it again?
Mm-hmm.
And you can probably speak a little bit more on this. Are the investigations themselves, depending on what you believe and depending on what you believe of the afterlife, are we re-traumatizing this energy, these spirits that are there, by asking them all these questions? Is it a responsible and ethical thing to do it? Because when you watch certain programs and the way they provoke and all that kind of stuff, it can get quite disrespectful, all that kind of stuff. You're asking, depending on what you believe, you're asking this possibly intelligent entity to talk about the end of their life, what they remember, how they died, when they died, who killed them. Is that a responsibility for somebody as well? Or should we just do it because we can?
Now, I've got something that occurred to us when we were in America, and we went to stay overnight at the Lizzie Borden house. And you probably remember, there were some rooms that some of our guests got to sleep
Pauline.
to sleep in, that had mannequins set up where they died with axes through them and blood all over them. And one of our guests, or a few of our guests, had to stay. They got those rooms to sleep overnight in. Now, some people would go, "Oh, that's really cool," and a lot of people would go, "That is horrific. That's absolutely horrific." And there were photographs in frames near the bed of the real body, of the person who had been killed.
Lizzie Borden's father and stepmother.
In that particular room. I kind of think that's a bit one step too far. Yeah, they had a area where you could have breakfast. Yep, put those things there. But when it comes to actually sleeping and being in those areas,
well,
I know they're taking it far, and there will be a lot of people that would go, "Yeah, that is super cool," but you kind of go, "That's tasteless."
Well, the fact is, I'm drawn to dark tourism. I'm drawn to the murders. I'm drawn to the insanity. I'm drawn to hospitals. Everywhere there's trauma, I am absolutely drawn to it. Moth to the flame. But when I go in, I try to give a voice to those that have left behind, and I ask them what they want to talk about. I ask them if there's been things that have been said that's not appropriate about them. And I try to get them to give us their story. And if they don't want to talk to us, so be it.
Because
maybe that's why.
That's real spirit communication. Then.
Maybe that's why we don't get the views on our YouTube videos.
But just to piggyback off what you said about the Lizzie Borden house, in Amy Bruni's book, Life with the Afterlife, she talks about the Lizzie Borden house
Mhm.
and the spirit that they communicated with there, that was Lizzie and her private residence.
Mhm.
And the biggest thing that they got was that they were disappointed and upset about the lies that were being told,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that they were still feeling that trauma
Yeah.
from people repeating it constantly for tours, for money,
Mhm.
exploiting their history.
And again, if we want to go visit those locations and not break into people's houses to try and get photos or explore or whatever you guys do, it's not you guys, but the other paranormal investigators out there that would do it. We need somebody to be caretakers of these venues and look after them, and they need to spend money on maintenance. They need to cover their bills. They need to pay their staff. Can it be done respectfully without all the dummies with blood and guts and gore?
That's a really good question.
It comes down to respect. And again, to tie back to our American trip, the people that do it right, Tina at Waverly Hills,
Oh, she was amazing.
they love and respect that building. They want to know, like, we went through a process of getting approved to be there, and there was a list of things that you can and cannot do and all that kind of stuff. I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Also, SK Pierce Mansion that we went to in the USA. I'm just going through that footage now, editing that for you guys. And the lady there did a great job telling the history of the location. She would tell you the actual historical facts, and then she would tell you what psychics and mediums had come in and said as well.
Even at Lemp Mansion.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. All we want is the truth. We don't need drama.
And that's where I think we have to, for the people out there that are watching, you have to be intelligent enough to separate a television show and the narrative that a television show is trying to promote to keep you engrossed for half an hour, to the people that spend their day-to-day life there with whatever is remaining in those spaces and how they interact with them.
Yeah.
Because it ain't like the TV shows.
No. Do you want to go into your questions, please?
Because this is a good...
We've got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
No problems. All right. So Steve and I have sort of hovered around the same topic here. Mine is, when is too soon? And I don't know if we'll ever get to a definitive answer on this, but I have some questions that I thought we'd just throw out to you guys and see what you would say. So say somebody came to you and they had a loved husband that had just passed away, and the wife who has been left behind has said, I believe he's in the house, and I believe there is an evil entity that is holding him back and he can't go. Can you come and help investigate my house to help my husband? What would you answer to that? Renata, I'm going to throw that to you. Somebody has said, my husband has died, and I think they're being held by an evil entity.
Well, I'd have to ask how do they know that it is an evil entity? What
I've
has
just
gone
got
on?
a gut feeling. I just
So,
know.
A gut feeling is not enough.
Well,
let's,
I know my
have
husband.
Let's have a discussion about it. Let's see what.
Oh, we're doing acting.
What you can tell me. Tell me a little bit about your husband. Tell me a little bit about how they passed. What were the circumstances?
He was 62 and he was climbing a ladder at 4 o'clock in the morning, stark naked, and the ladder collapsed. He fell down and hit his head on the frame and broke his neck. So, I mean, the fact that it was a ladder and that ladder collapsed means that it was something evil.
But it could have also just been a really terrible accident that occurred.
No, because he's used that ladder thousands of times and it's never fallen before. And I owned a Ouija board.
And I owned a Ouija board. I think what you're trying to get at.
Difficult.
Yeah, what you're trying to get at.
That's not an unusual scenario. But it's not an unusual scenario where the person is just so they want an answer to something that occurred that took someone's life away, that was an extremely terrible accident. And so they were ready to blame whatever nasty, horrible thing they could blame it onto so that they could get relief and release. And this is the issue and the problem with this, because This can work two ways. Do you say something to them to kind of go, that's a really silly thing, and I don't think, we should be contacting your husband at this point in time, whatever? Or do you offer them that because that is going to give them the sense of being able to disconnect and go, okay,
But it also
I feel
doesn't.
better now.
Sorry, it doesn't give them closure though.
But it might. This is the problem that we face. It might.
And
this
we
is-
actually did go to a house out to Ballardydale Way. Yeah, and this lady was very stricken by grief and thought everything that was happening around the place was her husband that had passed, and he had only passed a couple of months ago. So
we've also been contacted by people whose loved ones have literally their bodies aren't cold yet, literally,
And
they want to talk to them.
That's a grief thing.
And it has to be tackled with such gentleness, because you understand that the person is in deep grief, but the person's soul that has passed has not even had time to deal with what has happened.
I think, again, what you guys have taught me and us and our team is that we have to deal with the living first and understand what's going on and where they are at in that journey. Because for some people it can be closure, but for other people it's a niggling thing. It's like having that little bit of skin on your finger that you just want to pull out and you rip it off and then you're bleeding everywhere. It's not an easy answer, and it's not a one size fits all answer. But if you understand the living person and where they're at, you can sometimes then redirect, whether it's a mental health thing, whether it's a spiritual thing, whether it's a religious thing.
they might need counselling.
They might need counselling. And, sometimes it's not about the ghost at all. It's about the process of that loss and how they process it.
Exactly. The Indy wants to know why he was up a ladder naked at 4 a.m. The smoke alarm was going off, and that was my husband 2 weeks ago.
All right.
And
He's still alive, though.
He hit the back of his head, and that was, honestly, he nearly died that night. I'll never forgive him for that. I'll kill him. All right. So, Steve, one for you. Paranormal investigation team. They would like to go into a place where several murders have happened. They want to document it. They've got their cameras, they've got their equipment and everything ready to go. And they're heading off into Belangolo State Forest.
Oh, God.
Is it too soon?
Oh, God.
This is the thing.
Move into the limelight, Steve.
You can't, and again, like Renata, we were talking about earlier with children on tours, there are some things you can't mandate. There are some, you can have a moral expectation, but that's not an easy answer. I don't think it's morally correct to do it, especially when as we know from being tangentially associated with some of that.
Not with murdering people.
No, with that story,
Yeah.
we don't know if everyone has been found out there. We don't know who these people are. Are they family members of victims? Are they family members of the alleged killer? Are they just thrill seekers for notoriety? I think that the appropriateness comes from your moral compass and what you're going to do with that, whatever that evidence is. If it's just a personal thrill thing, then you don't need to record it. You don't need to put up online. It can be for your own thing. But it's hard to say because, some people have said in this chat that they're willing to talk to family members wherever, whenever, however. Those people that died there are still somebody's family member. So
they're still alive today.
Exploiting somebody else's pain for your personal ego trip and gain is a big thing, which is what we were just talking about. Personally, if the opportunity was posted, I don't think it's something that needs to be made public.
I think, look, I would not do a tour.
No,
I would
not a tour,
do
not a financial
TV,
gain
a
thing.
YouTube thing and put it out there. But I would consider driving in my car and putting on my voice recorder and just sitting there talking to them like they were still there and saying, I'm just letting you know that I am thinking of you all here and what was happened to you was dreadful. And you have my condolences. That's not the word I want to use, but it should never have happened. And I would just talk to them and see if they wanted to talk back.
And also, sorry,
that
just off what Daisy said, yes, those people might be there, but that's a very white point of view. You know,
Yeah.
we're going after it because it's something that happened in my lifetime. Everyone in this country has, you know, however many millions of years worth of memory, and it's like going anywhere. You can't guarantee what and who's going to come through just because you want to get your serial killer, true crime edging done. Doesn't mean that it's appropriate.
Yeah, it's a bit like Port Arthur as well. That's too soon. So what is the answer? When is too soon as far as we're concerned when it comes to this sort of stuff? Because we know there is Huff Paranormal that as soon as somebody dies...
Break out your crystal radio. It's time to talk to Betty White.
Their body is still warm and he's made connections.
Yes.
But that's not authentic. I think smart people, and again, sorry
We even had somebody here in Australia do it.
Sorry if this is you, if you are a Huff person. Smart people understand that going after those names doesn't guarantee any kind of actual real connection. It's sensationalism for sensationalism's benefit, you know? Are they trying to contact someone's grandma who just popped her clogs? No, they're going after a movie star or a singer or
it's like the ghosts when we go to haunted locations. It's always Marie Antoinette or somebody famous.
We don't want to talk to Jack the Ripper.
I think the one of the things is it private or public? Is the person who's trying to reach out a grieving widow or a widower who wants to speak to a family member. Very different scenario than going out, like I said, to Belangolo and doing a whole YouTube video about it where everyone is watching what you're saying and taking it on board what you're saying. That can make things very, very complicated and make family members feel really, really revolting about it. If you're asked privately to go and speak to someone who passed away in a house and their loved one is asking you, that's something you've got to morally consider whether you are happy to do that or not. You wouldn't take a whole team of people to go and do that either. You would go on your own or with somebody else just to make sure you're safe and secure. And do that, and you don't post those things publicly. Unfortunately, you don't post those things publicly.
You don't break into places and post public videos.
It is not an ego thing.
Or do spirit box sessions live and pretend that children have been murdered and cut up and put in a barrel when there is no proof of that whatsoever. That is horrific for the families that are still alive. I can't believe that.
Before we close out, can I flip the switch and then talk about something that is more, concerned with our group?
And Alison Dubois is coming out to Australia, by the way. She has 3 different cases.
We've talked about it a couple of weeks ago.
I really would like to go.
You have to go and drag.
No, I'd like to go and see what she does. I would love to.
So,
well, can that be a tax deduction?
Write it off on the job. What about we go to Wollongby, and Wollongby have allowed you to run your tour to visit the cemetery there.
Yeah.
And we do so in a respectful way. Do you want to just run the people through quickly what you do?
Yeah. Well, I tend to put up a little video at the end because we end up at the cemetery, which is funny. We end up at the cemetery, but we take in flowers, and I suggest to people to go and find a grave site that they are drawn to, and to leave a flower and say a prayer of respect, and
and that's the key word though, respect. Because I was having a conversation with people at Wollongby, and they're like, "Oh, it's a bit overwhelming to be in the graveyard and to be like, because it's still a working cemetery. There are very recent graves there."
Yep.
I said, "Well, think of it this way: when I come in here, I take my flower and I go to one of the graves that is, you can't read the name, you can't,
Hasn't
it's
had a
fallen down,
visitor for
because
hundreds of years. Yeah.
those people still deserve the respect. They still deserve that energy.
And a visit.
They deserve a visit, whether you believe they're there or not."
Mhm.
And it's the right way to do something like that isn't sensationalized and isn't for personal gain.
There you go.
Doing something
Mm.
and the community support it.
Yeah. They have said,
Yeah.
yes, go do that.
So
Essentially, in graveyards or cemeteries, the thing is that if you are doing a live, you don't show the headstones of the recently deceased. I normally sort of look at about 100 years. And I go find the old ones and talk to them, because they haven't had anyone talk to them forever.
oh, do you know what?
And they have really interesting headstones.
Here's
as
an
well.
idea. Do it for yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be online.
No, it doesn't.
We had a very nice moment in America when we were in Auburn, in that cemetery, where we
Yes.
all kind of just broke off and wandered through and met who we met and did all that kind of thing. But it wasn't for social media. It wasn't for any kind of anything. It was to go visit a historical site, because there are historically famous people buried in that cemetery, but also to pay respects there.
Hello, Brian. How are you? Cemeteries are a great place to learn more. And do you know,
Hello.
to be honest, we start out in cemeteries.
Everyone
here
does.
in Australia, because there is
Nowhere else,
nowhere
yeah.
else to go. So we will quite often start in the cemeteries, and then some people just don't have the money to get the
Or go on tours.
And it's all,
as
it's
long
just
as
about
everyone's
doing it
respectful.
respectfully, right?
So, Brian, give a shout out for your show that you've got at the moment. Just as well, Brian. Just
Just as well.
Oh, we looking fabulous. Well, one of us is.
What a bitch.
See, we do know famous people. Yes. So anyway, you came on at the end, Brian. We're going to cut you off now. Oh, Linda, thank you so much.
Mwah.
Thank you. Brian, do you have anything to add about when is too soon to communicate with the other side? I'd be interested to know your thoughts
Yes, that
on
would be
that.
interesting.
We're sort of saying that, you don't put stuff online unless you've got permission from your family or something like that. It's very important.
Let your what does Jiminy Cricket say? Let your
Intuition.
conscience be your guide.
Yes.
Let your conscience be your
I'll
guide.
just think of Thumper. If you haven't got anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Now,
That's Thumper's mum.
you did a bit of a surprise for us before
Uh-oh.
that left a taste in our mouths.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, hold on. We'll wait for Brian.
Time is considered different there to here, but respect is paramount over here, or at least it should be. Exactly.
We're
Thank
such
you,
a young
Brian.
country.
Thank you.
You left a bad taste in our mouths.
I'm sorry. No,
And-
you didn't like my brown Norwegian cheese.
This is a little something that the people have been asking for. I have to lean off camera.
He's got a black bag. I'm
I have a
scared.
black sack. Renata, you can do the honours.
Don't tell us your private
You can
stuff.
do the honours. This has been requested by people for future content. I've got something.
Oh my God. Yes.
Oh no.
Vincent Price. Cooking price-wise.
Yes.
For everyone that wants another cooking demonstration, Anne is getting a brand new kitchen sometime this year. So
Whoa.
there are some 70s recipes there that we are going to cook up
Brian,
and
they
share.
want us to cook. And
Peruvian,
talk paranormal at the same time.
Peruvian peppers.
Casserole of lamb. Renata will love that. She loves a baby animal to chew on.
Who said the trauma has to be ghost related?
Oh dear.
Oh,
We've gone silly now.
bacon mousse.
We were sensible for the whole show, Brian. You've missed out on that part.
Cocovan.
See, there's some
Nice
good,
milkshake. I'll be
there's
on
some
that.
good stuff in there, but there is some Vincent Price stuff in there. So
Look at that.
Stay
Can't
tuned
believe
for
you
cooking price wise.
Oh,
That's gold. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Oh.
And hopefully the people out there that have been asking for the cooking segment to return.
Can we call it resurrecting Vincent Price's cooking? Because some of these things I have not seen for about 40 years.
Oh, there we go. Brian has something to say.
Oh, what's that?
Maybe I'll see you.
Ooh.
Oh.
You let us know. Take you back up the vineyards again. I've got cats waiting here for you to show them their attention, your attention.
They are very demanding of that attention too.
Steve looks after them when we go away. So.
I'm not quite sure what Vincent Pricey is about these recipes, but never mind.
We all
Rude.
changed the names to avoid copyright. Anyway, that's us.
We're
We
done.
are done. Brian, share us around, will you? We need to improve our numbers. We've been doing this for like 8 years on YouTube. We're not getting anywhere. But apparently we're shit ghost hunters because, we don't get the evidence that all those YouTubers get. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have, please make sure you're subscribed. I looked at the numbers today. 30% of you are not subscribed.
How very dare you?
You might think you are, but you're not.
What if
So
we go
double check.
subscription only? You'll all be buggered.
And thank you to all the people who have joined as our paid subscribers. We appreciate it. Thank you, our Grand Poobahs, our Parastalkers, and all those people who just are here every week and they like and comment and add to the show. You are part of our show and our world. We love you all. We'll see you on the dark side.
Stay spooky.
Be frightfully good.
Blow it out your ass.
Don't be a dickhead.
I don't mind. Sorry.
I can't stay here.
You can't stay here.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.